You text a friend a casual question. A few minutes later, your screen lights up with a single word, sure. And right after that sure is a hard, definitive period. For most of the day, your brain runs on autopilot. It is evolutionarily wired to filter out standard, mundane patterns so you don't get overwhelmed. But the second something breaks that pattern, a sudden noise or an out-of-place punctuation mark, the brain hyperfixates on the anomaly. We navigate society using hundreds of unwritten rules. When someone violates these expectations, it triggers subconscious shortcuts that shift how others perceive us. Analyzing 3 specific psychological glitches reveals how violating the expected script can actually give someone the upper hand in a social exchange. Human communication is easily manipulated because it relies heavily on the friction of the unexpected rather than logical deduction. In a face-to-face conversation, we rely on a massive vocabulary of nonverbal cues. A slight smile or a shift in tone provides context. Texting strips all of that away, leaving a sterile environment of pure text. To compensate, we treat texting differently than traditional writing. Research from Binghamton University defines digital communication as talk writing rather than formal grammar. A one-word reply like yeah or nope doesn't need a period to indicate the sentence is over. The act of sending the message does that. So adding that tiny dot violates the established norm. According to a linguistic principle called Grice's maxim of relevance, we assume our conversation partners are acting purposefully. The recipient's brain interprets the extra effort required to type that period as a deliberate, meaningful signal. Without vocal tone to soften it, that grammatical full stop mimics a dramatic vocal pause. It projects abruptness, finality, or a passive-aggressive insincerity. You can even escalate this. Putting a period after every single word acts as a digital staccato, signaling intense frustration. In digital spaces devoid of physical bodies, grammar steps in to fill the emotional void, turning basic punctuation into a psychological weapon. This mechanism of expectation violation also dictates how we judge competence in the real world. In 1966, social psychologist Elliot Aronson staged an experiment using a fake college bowl quiz show. Participants listened to recordings of contestants answering difficult trivia questions. This chart shows exactly what Aronson found. When a contestant answered nearly every question perfectly, they were respected, but their likability scores only shot upward when they made a clumsy blunder, like spilling a cup of coffee. Absolute perfection threatens an observer's self-esteem. A harmless mistake bridges that gap, humanizing the superior individual. But there is a strict condition. If the contestant was perceived as having average competence, making that exact same mistake caused their likability to plummet, reinforcing their mediocrity. Marketers routinely use this vulnerability. In the 1960s, Volkswagen ran an ad calling their own Beetle a lemon because of a minor blemish. This self-deprecating honesty signaled a commitment to mechanical quality, building trust through a superficial flaw. Displaying a minor flaw is a powerful engine for likability, provided it is firmly anchored by underlying competence. These psychological glitches can also be engineered intentionally to force compliance. In 1975, researcher Robert Cialdini sent assistants around a university campus, asking students to commit to counseling juvenile delinquents. They asked for 2 hours a week for 2 years. Almost everyone refused. But immediately after that expected rejection, the researchers violated normal negotiation patterns by offering a much smaller alternative. They simply asked if the student would be willing to chaperone a single one-day trip to the zoo. Compliance skyrocketed to 50%. This sudden shift forces the target's brain to perceive the second request as a major concession. That perception triggers a human norm of reciprocity and a twinge of guilt for rejecting the first offer. Getting someone to say yes is rarely about the objective weight of the request. It relies on engineering a sequence of expectation, rejection, and immediate relief. The period at the end of a short text, the spilled cup of coffee, and the outrageous favor all succeed because they leverage the friction of contrast. To prevent accidental hostility, drop the period in your informal digital messages. Let the act of sending the message be your punctuation. In the workplace, embrace your minor blemishes. Stop striving for a sterile, unapproachable perfection that alienates your peers, and guard yourself against artificial compliance. Recognize when a sudden wave of guilt is pushing you to accept a moderate favor right after you've refused a massive one. Social influence is less about an unyielding display of perfection and more about a mastery of exactly when and how to be imperfect.